Hello, I'm Amanda. I go to Boston College. I am an economics major, and I'm going to be entering my senior year. So if you guys could introduce yourself as well, that would be great.
Hi, my name's Lonnie. I am a marketing major at Loyola Marymount University, and I'm also going to be entering my senior year in the fall.
Hi, my name is Martin Kavadik. I am an incoming junior at Loyola Marymount University here in Los Angeles, and I'm studying entrepreneurship and accounting. Yeah.
Awesome. So just taking a step towards our internships, I'll just give a brief summary of my internship. So I just moved into the NYU dorms. I am interning for Blackstone, the investment company here in New York City. So I just moved from Boston to New York. I got this internship. I was doing a lot of networking, and I knew I wanted to go into some kind of corporate finance internship, sent my resume out to a lot of places, and BC actually has this really great online network called EagleLink, where companies will post internships looking for BC grads. So that's actually how I applied to the Blackstone internship. And then I started out with a phone call with one of the Blackstone recruiters, and then I was actually abroad last fall when I was going through this process. So I ended up doing a Skype super day. So I just had a 2-hour Skype session with 4 different Blackstone executives, 30 minutes each. And then I got offered the position. So I took it right away. And I start in 2 days. So I'm really excited.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So really jumping into it.
Yeah.
So that's just a brief background about me. Now Lani is moving to Irvine for the summer and is starting her summer internship in the Marriott Corporate Sales Office. So Lani, if you would like to just explain your process too, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so I am moving to Irvine this week, and my internship starts next week, so that's also just jumping into it. But I am a marketing major, but I'm interested in hospitality just because I'm really passionate about traveling and learning about new cultures. So I was drawn to Marriott because it's one of the big hospitality companies. And I actually found the internship just by Googling Marriott college internship. And they had a posting within the last couple of weeks. So I just applied online. And I think about 3 weeks later, I got an email that I was going to have a phone interview the next day. So the phone interview was pretty straightforward. It was just 30 minutes. They just asked me about my past experience, and they asked me questions in the behavioral format, and they wanted me to answer with the STAR method. So that's where you talk about the situation at hand and what you're tasked with and the action that you use in the situation and then the result of it. And then they also asked me why I wanted to work for Marriott. So I thought it was a pretty straightforward interview. And then a couple days later, they called me and offered me a position. And I didn't accept it at first just because it's in Irvine, and I live in San Diego, or I live in LA during the school year. So that meant I had to find housing accommodations. But I realized because this is the industry I want to go into and it's the company I want to work for, I definitely shouldn't pass up this opportunity. So I accepted the internship, and I'm really excited to start working. I start in a week.
Awesome.
Congrats.
And yeah, congratulations.
Thanks.
And Martin is taking summer classes and then going to an accounting leadership program. So Martin, do you want to just give a background of that?
Yeah. So during the school year, my sophomore year, I just added my accounting degree, studied for accounting on top of entrepreneurship. And I went ahead and attended my first accounting society meeting. And it was kind of a funny story. I came in, and all of a sudden there was a bunch of accounting firms that are guest speaking, and they're already talking about recruiting sophomores at the time. And then my reaction was literally kind of just oh my God, I just added the major. I don't know what, you guys have already been recruiting. So they had this thing called summer leadership program. And basically it's supposed to be a 2 to 3 day program where they host you at their office during the summer, and you get to learn about their values, what some of the different line of works is, whether it's audit or tax or consulting. And it's basically for them to kind of show off their firm. It's also it's a sophomore program. Usually the traditional route for an accounting major is you would do like a summer leadership program. Some don't, that's fine. During the summer of your sophomore year, and then you would try to do like an internship your junior year. So what I'm trying to get out of these summer leadership program is just learning about more about the companies and like what they stand for, their values, and like just what the difference is between them, and hopefully get to know their offices. So I did apply. Loyola Marymount is in LA, but I grew up in San Jose. So I applied for the San Jose positions. And for the recruitment process, it's kind of interesting. They recruit on campus for a lot of schools. So you would have like recruiters come in, and they're basically networking with you all the time, bringing donuts, trinkets. I've gotten like lip balms, speakers, like radio speakers. It's so funny, like pens with their brand and whatever. And they're basically like trying to talk, get to know everyone. And eventually they have interviews. So we applied through our like school website kind of thing. I forgot what it's called. But we applied through there, and then different firms had different like applying like processes. So I applied to 6 different firms. Some had like back-to-back interviews. Some had an interview with the LA office, and then people with San Jose office online. So there were various interviews. So I'm now going with just the processes. So I'm going to the summer leadership program for Frank Brimmerman accounting firm, Armanino accounting firm, and PwC.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Lonnie, what about you? Did you apply to a bunch of different places? Was this kind of like the only place that you had like your mind set on? Do you want to just like talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I got pretty lucky. Not only is like Marriott the company I know I want to work for in the future, but it's also the only place I applied to. So it was pretty simple. Like I said, I just like looked it up online and was able to apply via their careers website. But my backup, like if I wasn't to get this internship, would just be to use like personal connections and reach out to friends whose parents own businesses. So I would say like if you're struggling to find an internship and you've applied to like a bunch of places online and you're not hearing back from anyone even after following up, then it's like really important to use those personal connections because I think especially in business, like networking is everything. So I definitely like recommend reaching out to your friends and seeing like where their parents work at and if they could help you out in any way.
Yeah, that's definitely important. That's funny just because like for me, I kind of did like a like different route. Like I had no idea like where I wanted to intern. And I originally started going like the investment banking track because my mom worked in investment banking. So that's just kind of like what I knew. And it's a really like rigorous networking process. So it's kind of similar to Martin, what you said, like all these companies coming to your school and like giving you little trinkets and like attending these info sessions and just like literally just introducing yourself to as many people as you can and trying to spark up like interesting conversations so that they remember your name and just going to as many of these like networking events as you can. So I was doing that last spring, and I actually had an internship last summer with Morgan Stanley, but it was private wealth management. And it was really, I learned a lot from that internship, but it also kind of like let me know that I didn't want to go into private wealth management just because I wanted a more, I wanted an internship that covered more like broad, like private wealth management is very one-on-one. And I think I work better with like examining like bigger trends of like the economic world. And so this is not my first internship, but I did get that one through like a family connection, and this one I didn't. And it's kind of funny. So after I was like networking a ton, you have all these like for investment banking, I would go to these like coffee chats where you're just like, it's like the pre-interview. So you're just sitting down with these people and they're just like they're giving you tips. They're like, okay, you need to make your story like below 2 minutes. Like you need to do this, you need to do that. And so I was like totally like gung ho, like doing that, taking all their tips. And I applied to a bunch of different investment banking internships. And I also applied through that same website, Eagle Link, to just a bunch, like probably 20 different internships, like just corporate finance in general. And probably 70% I just didn't even hear back from. And then, and then the investment banks, I was studying really hard for that, because you need to know all of these like financial, like corporate finance and I'm not a corporate finance major. I'm not a finance major. And so I literally just like self-taught myself, like self-taught myself, like all these like finance things, because they'll ask you those questions in the investment banking interviews. And I got to the final rounds of a couple, but didn't get offered a position. And then Blackstone, they reached out to me, and I was kind of nervous because I didn't know, like, they're a corporate finance internship, and they're an investment firm. So they have an investment banking sector, but I wasn't directly applying for that. Like I was kind of applying for the more general corporate finance internship. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, I have no idea if they're going to ask me these like technical questions or not. So I was just kind of preparing for everything. And then they didn't really ask me like any of like the technical investment banking questions. They kind of just asked me like about just like the general, like about my resume. And really, I just had like awesome conversations with the people I was interviewing with. And that was kind of like a home run for me, because I was like, I genuinely enjoy these people. Like I definitely want to work for this firm. And so, yeah, I like I said, I accepted right away, and I was like super excited about that. But it was definitely, for me, it was definitely like a very rigorous, hard process. And like, especially like everyone I know that was going through it too, like it's tough, and it's really like cutthroat. And that's why like I applied to so many different places too, because like, especially I feel like in like economics, just having like a business, like trying to go into business, like can be like so cutthroat, as with any industry. But like, I was not like aware of that until I like tried to start, like until I got into this, like trying to get this internship. And then I was like, wow, this is really cutthroat, but it all worked out, and I'm excited. But Martin, so you said that you're just like using these leadership programs that you're doing to kind of give you like more insight into what internship you want to do for next year. So is that like your main goal for the summer? Like, do you want to talk about like the long run a little bit?
Yeah. So a little bit, like I kind of know about like more of the accounting realm, just because my sister was also just a recent graduate with an accounting major. But with my sister, she didn't do these summer leadership programs. And so what I've actually heard from like friends and everything, and from herself, she said that summer leadership programs, a lot of people do it so that they don't have to apply the fall semester of their junior year, because like you're going through the program, and then what actually happens is at the end of the summer leadership program, you do interview for the full-time offer or the full-time internship offer during the next summer.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like you're kind of like getting a little bit ahead of the game and stuff like that. Yeah. In a sense, you are, and it's good because early on you get to know a little bit more about the different kind of firms and everything, and like different company culture. And like some of the things I really struggled with though is because I was applying for a San Jose office, but I'm currently interviewing and networking here in LA office, was, you know, like you get a sense of a company culture, but it's also, you know, it's going to be a different company culture from different, you know, locations and offices.
Absolutely.
The LA one could be very different. Like I remember one time I was like looking at like Reddit posts on like San Jose, like the stereotypes of the different like firms and everything. Like what are the different kind of companies? And it's very, very different from like even San Francisco to a place in San Jose. But I am using it more like I'm using it as an avenue to see like my options, but also like as a stepping stone to do my internship, to get an internship. I would going through the process too is very similar. Like you have school, and you have to network, and then you have to prepare for these interviews. And then like you're also sending these applications, which like 50% of them like won't even contact you back. And then very frustrating on top of the schoolwork you have to do, some extracurriculars. I remember there were days, Thursdays where I wake up for an 8 a.m. class, and then I have like 4 classes, each an hour and a half, one being 3 hours. And then like in between all of them were like 4 different networking events with 4 different firms. And then my day literally went from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning. And that was because I also had an extracurricular with a business grad off of Campus Psi till like at night. But literally, like, you're dressed in your suit, like you go to class, and you're like, I was literally like on my skateboard trying to like go from one end to the other, and I'm like talking to these firms, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like really enthusiastic about joining your program. I really love your company. And then like, well, like it's an hour, like I'd love to stay, but like I also have like other places like I need to go. And then like you like skate across campus and you're getting donuts at a whole nother firm. And like,
God,
it's an interesting dynamic too, because it's like you're applying for all these different firms, you want them to like you and everything, but at the same time, like these different firms are also in a way competing for different students, you know? So it is like, it's kind of like, it's weird because in the traditional kind of like you apply for other jobs, like I've applied with big corporations before, and it's like, you're really trying to, it's like you really try to put up your best version of yourself, right? And like impress them. But they never like, they don't really have to impress you. You know what I mean? They're kind of like, oh, we're this kind of company. So this is a very kind of cool dynamic too, where, you know, like they want to show you what it's like. They want to take you out. A lot of networking events where like donuts and stuff like that. But like I've gone to like comedian, like comedy nights with a firm, Dave and Buster's with a firm. And like, they're like really just like, it's really fun and down to earth, but it's also very exhausting and tiring. So like after going through it my sophomore year, I'm like, do I really want to do it again? Like the fall semester, my junior year? If I had the option not to, I'd be motivated and determined to do it. But it's like, you know, if I have like a full-time offer at this point, like, and I like the company, then like, yeah, you know, I'll go for that and I'll be happy. Like it's an awesome opportunity, but I think it's just like, we're so lucky to have like this kind of like dynamic too, because it's like harder. Like I know the Marriott is probably kind of a different dynamic because they're a bigger company and everything, and they're not recruiting on campus. So you're really like competing against not just students, but you're competing against like, you know, anyone who's applying for that. And it's a lot. It's a lot. Like I think, I don't know. Like I think going with being a student and then you're applying for these things, and then like it's just hard enough. Like it's convenient in a way for them to like come on campus and interview you here, you know?
No, Martin, I can definitely relate to that because it's such an exhausting process, like having gone through like trying to get to all these networking events and stuff. And by the end of it, I was totally beat. But at the same time, I was like really happy that I did do it because it gave me like my first, like even just like video interview compared to like where I was like interviewing at the end of the summer, like the difference in like my interview skills was immense. Like I got immensely better at like interviewing and just being able to talk to people, like having those, like just like being able to like introduce yourself and like ask a random question and like having like those awkward conversations where you literally don't know anyone, but you're just like going out there and introducing yourself to people. So I'm definitely happy that I did that networking because I feel like it definitely like set me up for like succeeding in my Blackstone interview. And just like any interviews in the future, I was definitely like really thankful that I had that like process because it made me like a lot more comfortable with like the whole networking scene and like reaching out to people and like knowing how to present yourself for an interview. So I definitely relate to that. So Lonnie,
like, there's a lot of, sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's just like a lot of like things that I feel like when you're going through an interview process, not this is for any job interview. I feel like you learn a lot about like the business realm and what it's like for corporate business at least. Where like they don't like, it's hard to learn from a classroom. Like you have like all these classes that are telling you like it's different, like it's not a classroom, you don't just sign up, like these kind of things. But then when you actually go through it and go through this process and like push yourself, because it's on your own fruition too. No one's telling you to do it. You're literally, it's weird becoming a norm. Like I felt like I was learning a lot about business, not through my business classes, but through like applying for these jobs, talking to these working professionals, and like really like getting myself out there outside of the classroom.
Totally. Like if I could give like advice to people that are like starting like the networking process or looking for like planning on getting an internship their sophomore, junior year, I would definitely say just do as many interviews as you can. And even if the first ones don't go well, that's okay, because you're only going to get better at interviews as like if you do them more, you know, like
I agree.
it might start off a little rocky, but like the only way to get better at like networking and interviewing and having these conversations with people is just by doing it over and over
Practice.
again.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's like a sport, you know, like you work hard, you practice every day kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. So Lani, I feel like you're just like a little bit, your like internship you got like you had like a little bit of a different process just because you knew you wanted to work at this company rather than Martin and I applying to like a bunch of different internships. So do you want to just like talk a little bit about like how did you know that you wanted to work for Marriott? Was it just because like it was the largest company in the hospitality business, and just kind of like what you gained out of your like what networking was like for such a big like corporate company, and just kind of like what you found like the process to be with like such a big company, and like you knowing that that's the place you want to go to?
Yeah. So the reason why I kind of like wanted to work for Marriott is because like my dream goal in the end is to work for the Ritz-Carlton.
Okay.
And that's a hotel that's under Marriott's like brand. They own like 30 different hotel companies. But like deeper than that, I really support their core values. And I like how they're always striving to be like innovative and set new trends within the hospitality industry. And like they really care about their customers and providing the best experience for them. So I think like when you're looking at different companies to possibly work for, it's important to just go on their website and do all of your due diligence and learn about their mission statements and like even like how they give back. Like one of the things that I'm required to do for my internship this summer is like do community service with the people in my office. And I think that that's something that's really unique because like not only do you get to bond with people, but you're giving back to the community because Marriott really cares about like giving back and, you know, just promoting just like recycling and being green and stuff like that. So that's like something that's really important, looking at core values and making sure that you would like fit in with the atmosphere and the company culture. So that's one thing that I took into consideration. And then I also looked into like the benefits and the perks that come with working for the company. So they provide full healthcare insurance and like dental and vision, which I thought was really great. And then you also get discounts, sometimes like up to 50% off for staying at their hotels. So all of those were things that like really appealed to me. And also because they are a big company, that gives you a lot of opportunity to transfer within the company. So I'm really interested in like working abroad in the future, specifically in Asia.
Oh, awesome.
So I thought it would be a really good idea to just like get my foot in the door in the US. Then after you graduate, they have this program called Voyage. So it's for people who have just graduated and you can apply, and it's a year-long program where you basically learn about like every aspect within the hospitality industry, and they connect you with like leaders who are high up. And so that's hopefully like from this internship, you'll have better odds for getting chosen for the Voyage program. So that's like my end goal for the internship in this summer.
Awesome. Yeah, that was my next question would be like, what's your next like ideal step? But that's awesome. For me, I'm a little bit like, kind of similar to Martin, where this internship is like supposed to ideally going to lead into a 2-year full-time analyst program. So if all things go well and I like Blackstone, then hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll have an offer for next year. But yeah, that's awesome. So that's, I mean, I had no idea that was actually like, an option, but that sounds really exciting. And that would definitely be like really, interesting to work abroad.
Yeah.
So for you both, is this your first internship?
This isn't my first like internship, but it's my first full-time like internship in a corporate office, like 9 to 5 type of thing. So I'm really interested in how this is going to go. I've worked in the hospitality industry doing sales for the past 2 summers, but it's always been like in the field, and this is more like behind the scenes in the corporate offices, you know, like in a cubicle at the computer. So
Right.
It's going to be like a different environment, but I'm excited to learn all that I can.
Right. What about you, Martin?
I think for me, like, well, none of them are like internships, but like
Right.
what I'm going for right now is an internship. But
Yeah.
this is definitely, I've done internships mostly because I'm an entrepreneurship major for like startup companies and like, because I love to learn about that. So this is actually going to be like one of the, like, for me, like a big corporation internship. And I get to learn more about like the corporate culture and like what it's like to work for a bigger company. I've worked like a sales associate for like bands before, like things like that. But this is actually like more like you get a specialized role. You
Right.
are like serving like this big company. And like, I think it's going to be very different than my previous experiences. And I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like I have the same mindset too. Definitely going to be different and not really sure what to expect yet, because I feel like a lot of internships, and maybe this is just me, but I feel like a lot of like internships will post a description of the job in a very vague way too.
Yeah.
So you are,
yeah.
so you're not really sure what your day-to-day is going to be like. And so for me, I was really happy that I did my private wealth management internship, because prior to that, I would not know, like, and it's all about like the culture and like the people around you, the people that you're surrounded by, well, in my opinion, at least, and that like makes a job like what it is. And so you can't really get that from like any description too. Like you really have to be like on site doing it yourself. So like, I was really happy with like prior experience, and I would definitely like advocate for people just to like start taking like internships and getting that experience when you can, because then you know what the experience is like and if that is for you or not, because it's so hard to look at like an internship description and actually like decipher if that's what you want to do, because it's like so broad.
Oh yeah. And it's so funny, like even like things as simple as going to like a networking event. Like Lani and I, when we were in freshman year, because we're going to the same school, we would go to like the entrepreneurship, like big like networking events. And it was just like, we went to like probably like tens of hundreds of like different companies. And these were startup companies because it was a convention, whatever. But it was interesting because it was like, there was a lot of people that were like pitching like their like, you know what I mean? Like kind of their company, and like, we have job openings, and then they like ask like, oh, how old are you? And we're like, oh, we're freshmen. And then like, you would expect them to just be like, oh, like, well, some of them were, but like, like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of like for older people. But at the same time, like, there was so many people who were like, wow, like, you guys are on it. You know what I mean? Like, getting out there your freshman year so early on, like, you just started college and you're already coming out to these things. Like, that's crazy. And like, always, I highly advise like anyone, no matter what age you are, no matter what you're studying, like, come out to these events, go network and get yourself out there and learn. Like, the thing is you learn so much outside the classroom,
Absolutely.
What I love,
And a lot of times, like, jobs or people that are hiring will see a lot of like the same exact resume, like people that have extracurriculars, have a great GPA, and they're like, well, how do I decipher these people? And a lot of times, like, if they can put like a face to the name, then that will immediately put your like resume at the top of the stack. So I would definitely say like, get out there and like start networking as soon as you can, because like, if you can just like get your name out to as many people, like even if it's just a phone call, then the person hiring you, or the potential, person hiring you, is going to be like way more likely to take a harder look at your resume, because they actually know your name. So even if I totally commend you for starting freshman year, and honestly, I wish I had, because I didn't even know about like these sophomore investment banking internships that took place. But one of my friends got into investment banking after her freshman year, or after her sophomore year. So she had a sophomore year internship with an investment bank, and that just gave her like totally a leg up for junior year internships, which in turn gives you a leg up for a full-time offer. So really,
especially because you have the internship with company, and like you can talk about your experiences.
Exactly.
It's great.
Yes. So any connection, like the earlier you can make the connections and the more connections you can make, in my opinion, the better.
Yeah.
And just like, get it. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Like approaching like networking and stuff, like a lot of people think like come in like looking for a job. But what I find is like when you're coming in, like honestly kind of just like looking to meet people, looking for like friends, that kind of thing. Like I've gone to so many networking events, and then like we exchange business cards, but we also say like, oh, like as a student, like I take advantage of it too. It's like, like, oh, maybe we can like have a chat of coffee and like, like I'd love to learn about your experiences and like what you think of like how like your experiences shape like the different work lifestyle and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's simple like interactions like that like it's not something that's literally on a resume, but it's something that like when people talk about it, when people see your name to a face, like connections is not just only job connections, but like relationship with people.
Right. And just getting like that exposure, and also like that just like gives you more insight into like what the potential job is, And in my opinion, that's so valuable. And just like, and honestly, people want to hire people that they would want to work with. So if you can just make like a genuine, like if someone thinks that like you're a person that they would get along with, and you can do that by like having a good conversation with them, like that just gives you a leg up too. So, and on it, like I learned this all like in literally the past year from doing this networking stuff. So, so I cannot stress enough, like how valuable it is. And like how much that I learned from it. I'm sure both of you did as well. It sounds like it. So I feel like we definitely covered a lot of stuff. So, do you guys have any like last questions or any comments that you want to say like about your internship or about your like programs for the summer, or, any last comments or questions?
I'd say just some like tips for people who are looking for summer internships. Definitely like go to your career center. I know at LMU they have a really great career center, so they'll help you with resumes, and they'll also do like mock interviews. So that's a really great way to get more practice. Like you guys were saying, practice makes perfect. And they'll also set you up with all the programs necessary to look for internships. And then I think another great tool to utilize is LinkedIn. I have some friends who have gone their summer internships just through starting off with asking people on LinkedIn for like 15-minute informational interviews. And once you like establish that connection, that can lead to something that's more of like a full-time offer. So I think being on LinkedIn and making sure your profile is like represents you in like the best way is also another really great tool for people to use.
Awesome. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. Sorry. 100% with what Lonnie has been saying. I think mock interviews is amazing. Go check out your career center, but like even like really just reach out to your friends. Be like, yo, I'm like really like nervous for this interview. I remember like my first interview, I literally was like sitting in the waiting room, and then like, or as I was walking towards my thing, like I would call my mom just because like I wanted to have like words out, like, I was in my room all day, wasn't talking to anyone. All the time I'm gonna go talk about myself, it's hard. So, like call a family member, just like, what's up? Like, what's going on? That kind of thing, and get used to talking. And like, like things like LinkedIn, like you can totally do like, buy a LinkedIn subscription. Like those subscriptions are actually so valuable. You can actually message people that you don't have a first connection with, and like really ask them and pick their brains out about like the job, and like establish connections through that, all of that. And like just in long-term kind of things too, like just network as much as you can with the people around you, with your peers, with working professionals and their parents, and like really just talk. And like I think that having like the ability to talk, like people say like if you can write and if you can speak, you're going to do well in life. And I totally think that like that's something like emailing, writing emails, and like talking and networking. It's so like it opens a lot of doors for you. And I wish anyone luck with whoever is like applying for everything.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, I totally agree with you, Martin, like, and you, Lonnie, as well. I mean, use your career center, get as many eyes as you can on your resume, because I guarantee you, like every time you send your resume off to someone, like they'll give you more feedback, and a fresh set of eyes will catch something that like someone else didn't. So keep sending your resume out to people. I did that exact same LinkedIn thing. I would recommend like looking up, buying that subscription, looking up people that graduated from your school, because then that automatically gives you a connection, and just reaching out to them. And just like talking to people, introducing yourself. Like what I'm looking forward to doing at my internship this summer is just like being forward and introducing myself, like taking initiative, introducing myself to people so that I can get my name out there. And yeah, I totally agree with everything that you guys said. And awesome. This has been a really awesome conversation. So thank you guys so much. Like Martin said, good luck to all of you. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys. Take care.
Good luck with everything.
You
Good
too.
luck.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.